Okay, so we'll start with what I just want to call a protection and cleansing intention. So I'm just asking the angels of protection and cleansing to come in and around us, into our minds, into our energy, into our bodies, and into our lives in this moment. Coming into our energy fields as we ask for cleansing and protection. And I'm asking the archangels, the ascended masters, and our guides to come in and around us now and cleanse us at every level of our being. Please cleanse us out of anything that isn't for our highest good. Any emotional or physical imbalances, and to help highlight within us any mental blocks that are stopping us from moving forward in a way that our higher self wants us to. Can we shine a light on any mental blocks within our energy field that are keeping us stuck in one way or another? And we ask that anything that isn't ours to keep hold of is dissolved. Anything that isn't ours that we've taken on as our own, please can we send it back to the light, whether that be somebody else's belief in what is right for us. Can we ask for that to leave our energy field? Something that somebody else has put on us that they think is right for us, when in actual fact that's just their perception from their belief system that isn't in alignment with us. And just to become aware that just because somebody says something that they think is right for us really may not be, and it might very well be that that's their perception of life based on from a completely different perspective. And for us to really hold strong to that every time somebody offers us advice or offers us what they think is right for us, that we need to almost feel this protective shield of energy coming around us before we make any conscious decision on what they're saying to us, and say things to us that just aren't right for us. And it's our self-responsibility to make a decision on what's right for us rather than what somebody else is saying for us. And that comes into mental boundaries, because there's so many different elements to boundaries. So one element is us saying no at a physical level to something that we don't want to do. But there's also mental boundaries, and that's when we really step into our power. When somebody says something that they think should be right for us and it isn't. And in this moment, I'm asking Archangel Michael to help strengthen that mental boundary for all of us. Almost like, so when somebody puts on us something that they think we should be doing based on their perception of their reality, it bounces off and we don't allow it in. So what I'm being shown is we've got our auric field, our energy field around us, and we can strengthen that to the point where it's probably the wrong analogy, but I almost want to say like an armour, but not in the war sense, in the sense of Archangel Michael's armour that we can put around us. That's a kind of shield. And then, so if somebody's saying, you should do this, or why are you doing that? If it's not right for us, it's like it bounces out and then we don't draw it in. And it's only when we draw it in and we take somebody else's perception to be ours that it causes us problems. And that word wobble, that's where we wobble. when we've taken somebody else's perception in, or even when we've taken in a pattern or a program that tells us that something that potentially is really right for us is wrong for us when it could be right for us. Okay, so anyway, enough of that now. I think that point is made. Okay, so now I ask that everything that's in the way of us feeling connected with our soul, our higher self, I ask in this moment that it be gently removed to whatever capacity in this moment it can be. So I'm being told that when we ask this, it's always at where we're at in our consciousness, and that we're fully our own healers. And so we can always ask. We can always ask. We don't need to ask anyone else to do this for us. We can always ask the angels, our guides, to remove from us anything that's stopping us from feeling fully connected to us. And we don't need to go to a healer to do that. We just need to ask. So I'm just asking on behalf of us in this moment for us to have anything gently removed from our energy field, so that we can experience a far greater peace and connection to ourselves. And it comes back to that knowing, that peaceful knowing of what is right for us beyond what anybody else says is right for us. And I ask for us to feel the presence of our angels and archangels and the ascended masters to come in closer now around us and to just put a cocoon of protection around us, as it starts to feel like a bubble of peace coming into us and surrounding us. And I just ask that we be cleansed and protected, and that we just start to sense in this moment this shower of light coming down around us, as that cleansing light just comes down and moves into us. And I'm not going to do the full chakra cleanse tonight. I'm actually going to ask in this moment for the energy to go to that center that most needs the light, if that makes sense, most needs the most cleansing in this moment. And I ask that each of us individually feels that center, and just intuitively move your hands to whichever energy center you feel needs your own self-healing, as well as the healing that's coming into us now. So you might intuitively feel you want to put your hands on your heart, or on your pelvis, or on your stomach, or on your throat, or even on your knees. You might feel you want to put your hands on your knees. And that might be that you intuitively want the energy to come to your knees. Just wherever you feel intuitively to put your hands, and know that the energy is going to follow that. And just sit for a moment with your hands placed wherever feels right for you in this moment. And then while we're here, I'm just going to speak the words that I channeled earlier, and I just want them to go into your heart. Just listen with your heart. We spend most of our time in our minds. It's where we're conditioned to be, locked into our thinking as if it's the authority over us. But it's our heart where we really want to be. We want to be listening to our intuition above everything else, because that's where our true happiness lies, in listening to what feels good to us behind what our mind tells us is right for us. To remember in this moment that our mind functions from our programming, from patterns, and from what society says is right for us. But our hearts whispers what will really make us feel alive. Outside of surviving, our heart wants us to thrive. It doesn't want us to follow what we've been conditioned to think is right for us. Okay, so in this moment, we're just going to drop into our hearts and just move your hand onto your heart. Move one hand onto your heart and move the other hand onto whatever feels right for it to be placed on your body. And just really feel that connection with your body. Just really, really feel that connection for a moment. Feeling into your heart. And just really remembering that the truth of us is our soul, is our higher self, and that's where we want to be making every decision from. And it's not going to speak to us like our mind. It's that inner whisper. It's that inner knowing. We've got it. We've worked on ourselves enough to know that inner knowing. And it's our self-responsibility to trust that above everything else. Because no one knows what's right for us apart from us. And the more we're connected with us, the more we strengthen our connection to our soul and our true self. Okay, so in this moment, I just want you to ask yourself, inwardly, just ask yourself, where, if anywhere, you're out of alignment with where you're trusting your mind over your soul. Just ask inwardly, where am I trusting my mind over my soul? And this isn't, you're not looking for a logical answer. I mean, something might come, but that's not the point of this. You're setting your intention, just asking that question to connect more deeply with your soul, to overriding the power of your mind. So just ask again inwardly, where am I out of alignment, where I'm trusting my mind over my soul? And then without knowing the answer, imagine that it's coming in through your crown, energetically, and it's moving into your heart. And just imagine that in this moment, we're just asking for our connection to our true self to be strengthened in whatever way that means individually for each of us, so that we can more deeply trust the true us to guide us, to strengthen our inner knowing of what's right for us, and to build that shield more strongly around us, to act as a shield to almost reflect back to somebody what they are essentially trying to put on us, which is from their own perspective, from them not being able to see where we're at. And just for each of us to honour in this moment how far we've come. To just really sit for a moment and just honour ourselves. That each of us have really had to pull out all the stops in terms of trust, faith, trusting in our unique divine plans, not really understanding where we're going or understanding why something happened the way it did. But outside of that misunderstanding and not understanding, what's actually happened is we've built more faith and trust as a result of it. And so for us to strengthen that trust in not understanding, because this path is not logical. So when our mind jumps in the logical way and tries to rationalise a choice we might be making, for us to remember that so much has happened to us that wasn't rational, that didn't make sense. But out of that, it's almost like we can see the light at the end of it. And to just drop into that trust a little bit more. And just to see the energy of that trust coming in, bring it in through our crown into our heart. And just set our intention to trust more. To trust more in our inner guidance. To trust more in our higher self. To trust in our soul. To lead us to exactly where we need to be. And to know that as we strengthen that trust in ourselves, we automatically build that inner magnetism. So it's a twofold thing. So it's like we're trusting our soul, our higher self, we're trusting our guidance. But the more we do that, and the more we strengthen our own inner power to magnetize to us what needs to come to us. So I'm just being shown like this flow that gets strengthens and strengthens and strengthens. And all the time focusing on vibing as high as we possibly can. Okay, so I'm being told just to not say anything for a moment, and for us to all just sit in this energy just for a few minutes until we feel we want to open our eyes.